What's your name?
I'm Bailey.
I'm Jasmine. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And do you want me to call you Bailey, or is there another name that you prefer?
Bailey's fine.
Bailey's fine? Okay, well, perfect. Okay, so for our meeting today, I just wanted to go over a couple of things before we officially go into everything, just so you kind of know what to expect, and then I know what to expect as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so what are your expectations coming in here?
So I was referred to you from a really good friend who comes and visits you, and she was just saying, I was telling her some of the complications I was having in my marriage, and she said that she had similar experiences in her life, and so she went to you to seek help.
Okay.
And so that's why I've come, is I need help.
Okay,
So.
well, I will definitely do my best to help you, that's for sure.
Okay.
And so I guess what I would expect from you, I'm just coming in here, I may assign you like little almost like homework assignments or things to do between our sessions just to help you improve and become better. Okay. So I'd love it if you would come prepared, as we start the sessions. And of course, try your best to be on time to all of our sessions. If you are more than 15 minutes late, I'd ask just that we reschedule, just so you can get your full amount of time, and also the person after you can get the full amount of time as well. If you know that you're going to miss like one of our sessions, I would try to, if you can, try to let me know 24 hours beforehand at least, just so I can fit someone else in if needed. If you can't, I know that emergencies come up, so that's totally fine, but just let me know as soon as you know. Okay. That way.
And is there like a certain amount of absences, or?
So with this agency that I work for, there is that you do have 3 absences where you can miss 3 times in a row, and after that we could look into either referring you out somewhere else or looking into that. And so yeah, that's with the agency that I work for. And also I forgot to mention before, I am an intern here at Utah Behavior Services, just with Weber State University. And so that's kind of what I do here.
Okay.
Just so you're aware of that as well. And of course, everything that you say in here will be kept confidential. And so I'm not going to go telling anyone about what you're going to tell me. So I hope that you'd be open and honest with me, and I definitely won't tell unless I feel like you're a danger to yourself or others, or if a court orders me to tell, I have to do that.
Okay.
But other than that, I will definitely keep things confidential, and so you don't need to worry about me telling other people the things that you're going to tell me. And also, if you feel uncomfortable at any time, or if I feel uncomfortable at any time, we both have the right to terminate the sessions at any time, so you don't have to feel obligated to come to me. And likewise, I don't have to feel obligated to come to you if there's some type of uncomfortable. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. And then also, I just wanted to let you know that along with being confidential, I will also try my best to be non-judgmental of the things that you tell me. I will do my best to help you in any way that I can, because I really do want to help you, and I want you to become a better person because of this, and hopefully, and I will learn from you as well. And so I'm really excited to start working with you.
Me too.
So what brings you in here?
So a lot of the difficulties that I've been having is, I guess, so I've been married for about 5 years, and I feel that the relationship that we have sexually is a bit strained.
Okay.
So kind of like the background story of, I guess my life, and kind of why I think this is a problem is I was sexually abused by my father when I was little, and so it's very hard for me to, first of all, be trusting of anybody, and as well, it's just been difficult being open to my husband in that sort of way, sexually.
And has it always been that way with your husband?
Yeah, since day one. Our first wedding night, he was looking forward to it, but I was terrified. And I had so much anxiety just built. My wedding day was just miserable because of that.
Oh.
And just hold guilt because I know what it's doing to him.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying, that first night together, I couldn't have sex with him. I couldn't be intimate. You know, the only thing that we've done is hold hands and kiss, and that's where I've set my boundary, and I just feel like I can't go past that. And every time I try to force myself, and I find that sounds weird, but I feel like I'm back into, like my body feels like it's, you know, little again.
Okay.
Back to the trauma I was having when I was little and I was being sexually abused. And it doesn't happen all of the time, but a good amount of time, it seems real that I'm back at that point of my life in the past.
And so basically with your husband, whenever you feel like things are getting intimate and progressing that way, you basically flash back to back when your father was doing those things. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's terrifying. And I feel bad because it's not my husband's fault.
Right.
And he knows that my father was, you know, abusive, but I haven't been open to him about the extent of the abuse.
Okay.
And you know, even talking about it, like I feel myself right now, just talking about it with you, I feel my anxiety rising, and it feels like my body tenses up and like someone's gonna get me.
Well, I want you to know that the feelings that you're having are normal. It's okay.
Are you sure? Because people that I talk to, this doesn't happen, so.
Well, a lot of the people who have gone through trauma at such a young age, it definitely is normal to flash back to those times and to feel that anxiety about those same situations. It definitely is very normal to go through those emotions. And so from what I'm understanding about like what you're telling me, your goal is to work through the anxieties and try to move forward that way. Is that what you're wanting?
Yeah, I would like to have, or at least make the steps to receiving a healthy relationship with my husband.
In a sexual way.
Yeah.
And so from what I understand from what you said earlier, you guys have never had sex before. It's just been the holding hands and kissing?
There's been a few times, but they've ended quite abruptly.
So like actual intercourse,
Mm-hmm.
but it just ended really quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just couldn't go farther, you know, and I was terrified the entire time, and he sees how terrified I am, and of course he doesn't go farther.
Right.
When he sees that I'm in so much pain.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Is that something you have a desire to do? To work up to that as far as like having intercourse with him someday, as far as that way sexually?
Well, yeah, I love him, and I feel stupid in saying this, but I know I can trust him, but I don't. And he has never done anything to make me uncomfortable. He has never done anything to, you know, take away my trust, but I still can't trust him fully.
And so when you say that you don't trust him, is it more on an emotional level or more of a physical level? Like where you're not trusting him with the physical things?
Physical, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional. I want to tell him what happened to me as a child, but to share that with a male, that's another reason why I have come to you, because you're female.
Right, yeah.
And I find it easier for me to open up to a female about these things, but to a male, even though he's my husband, I can't, you know, it's just, I can't be trusting about that part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
to a male, I guess.
And so you said that he does know some things, but just not all. So is it more the surface things that he knows?
He just knows that my father was an alcoholic, that he was abusive. That's what I've said. But I haven't said sexually.
Okay.
But he has brought it up because I think he, it's not hard to,
Probably assumes.
yeah. And, he keeps, pushing, sometimes he's just fed up with, not understanding and not, he feels like he's doing something wrong. But then I say no, and then he's like, well, what? And I don't give him that what. And I think we've discussed that it's good for me to come and see you, and then I can work through my what.
Yeah.
And then bring him in when I'm ready, so that we can work on it together, and hopefully by that time I can be open with him, and because I want to, because I want to have the family that I never had as a child.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And your desire to change and to become better is very big. I can see that, and that desire will drive you and will help you to accomplish those things as you do the things that we talk about, and as you continue to build yourself. Hopefully you will be able to do those things. You mentioned that you hadn't told him. Is there anyone in your life that you've told about this besides me?
I have a sister. We're not so close because she lives, far away.
Mm-hmm.
She lives on the east and we're on the west, so. But she was also sexually abused.
Okay.
But we've kind of swept it under the rug. And now that we have our own families, we have just tried to forget that and just kind of live with the families we have now.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes call around Christmas or birthday, but that's the extent of our communication. But other than that, I wanted to be normal,
Right.
growing up. And so to do that, I felt like I couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I've told nobody, and so I've just tried to live that normal life, but it just seems that the longer I've done that and the more years that go by, the worse it gets.
Okay. And with your sister, before you lost contact a little bit, did you go into details about it?
No.
Or did you both just kind of know that it was happening to the other?
We knew it was happening to the other. We were so close in age, and we were always with each other, and so a lot of the time abuse was together.
Oh, okay. And is your sister struggling with the same things that you are in her marriage? Do you know?
I don't, because we
Just don't talk.
promised to sweep it under the rug, and after, I don't know if I can talk about it, but how we would get through what had happened as kids right after we would play dolls or, make believe so that we could forget what had just happened. And so it's just carried through.
Okay. And when you would play dolls when you were younger, would you, how would you play? Would you have, what scenarios would you play out?
The perfect world that we wish we lived in.
So a perfect mom, a perfect dad, perfect kids, that kind of thing, or?
Sometimes, but mostly it was, I don't know, what kids do, make believe, a world that's not of your own. So
So kind of just escaping through your
Mhm.
mind, so you
Yeah.
didn't have to be there anymore.
Exactly.
Is your sister younger or older than
She's
you?
younger.
Younger, okay.
Mhm.
And with your husband now, you said that you haven't told him that you were sexually abused, but you told him that you were abused.
Yes. I just said I was abused as a child, and it's hard for me to discuss what happened
Mm-hmm.
because it was so traumatic, and he's seen episodes of if something reminds me of my father, or a sound, or even a smell, I'll freeze,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll start to panic, and sometimes go into kind of a childlike attitude and just throw a tantrum, or I will freak out. It depends, but
When you say throwing a tantrum, what does that consist of?
I guess more on the lines of panicking. You know, when I knew my father was coming home and I heard those sounds, or knew it was coming, basically, I remember hiding. I remember crawling up in a ball and just crying. And so I'll do just that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, once I recognize it, it's like my mind shuts off. I go black, and then it happens, and then I wake up, and my husband is shaking me, saying, "What's going on? What's going on?"
Do you literally pass out when you say that it goes black,
It's
or you
not
just
pass
kind of
out
numb?
because I'm still conscious. I
Mhm.
just don't remember. I just black out. I don't remember myself reacting in such a way. I don't remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I know what triggered it.
And how often do these episodes occur?
Sporadically.
Like once a week, once a month, once a day?
I would say about maybe 2 to 4, depending, a month
2 to 4 months, okay. So
of those giant episodes.
okay.
Weekly, I would say anxiety is daily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for those giant outbursts, it has to be something traumatic, like, oh, I don't even know.
Have you had like those episodes after you mentioned that you had intercourse just a couple of times with your husband? Did that happen after those?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I feel threatened, when I feel, I guess, like he's gonna come back and do those things.
Okay. Is your father still living? Do you still have contact
I don't
with
know.
him? Yeah.
After I was 18, I left.
Okay.
And
Never looked back.
I don't want to talk about the town that I was in. I don't want to talk about that house. That family. It's not my family.
Okay. And with your husband, so you mentioned that holding hands is fine, kissing is fine. And what about hugging? It's just like a full-on embrace. Is that okay?
It's depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's told me that if I have my outbursts and he tries to, you know, hold me or, you know, embrace me in any way, I freak out more.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm I guess when I'm not around, I guess when I'm not threatened.
So like
feel threatened.
if he comes home from work and just gives you a hug,
Yeah, that's fine.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so what if, let's turn it to, you guys are about to go to bed, you're in the bedroom, he gives you a long, full hug. What about that?
It's mostly the passionate kissing and when arousal starts.
Mm-hmm.
that's when I don't want contact, physical contact of any kind.
Okay.
Because I feel guilt. And again, that anxiety combined with that, when that arousal happens, because it's natural, and I hate that it happened when I was younger, because that was unnatural, and so I hate myself for reacting in that way. And so naturally, when I feel myself doing that again, that anxiety comes back, that hate, that just a combination of it all comes, and yeah.
And our body is getting aroused in that way. It is a physical reaction. It's not only emotional. So because if looking back when your father did that, when you were aroused, it doesn't mean that you were emotionally into it at all. But of course, if he's touching you in places that would allow that arousal, it'll happen just because it's a physical reaction, but it doesn't mean that you wanted it.
Yeah.
Or that you were provoking it anyway. What happened was not your fault. Even if you felt those feelings, that wasn't you. That was just simply a physical reaction. That's all it was. It was a physical reaction. And when you say arousal, like with your husband, is it when you get aroused or when he does?
I guess it's both, because it's kind of that natural, I feel it. You can tell physically when he's being aroused, and I'm not just saying, that, but but I don't know, it's just the passionate. It becomes more passionate, more long, and I can tell that intention, which is natural, and I'm surprised my husband's still around, to be honest.
Well, he obviously loves you, which is a great thing.
I don't deserve him.
You deserve the best. It's hard for you to see, but everybody has their faults and their trials. And so it's good that you found someone who's willing to work with you through those trials. And it sounds like he's pretty supportive, that he'll stop when you are feeling like threatened, that sounds like he's pretty patient that way. And so he does sound like the type of person that eventually would be a good person to tell or talk to about it, because he does care about you.
And he deserves to know. I don't know what it is about speaking to males, but especially about that, it triggers something.
Have you ever tried to talk to him about it before? Tried to get those words out?
There was a time where he was just frustrated, and he just kind of, he was yelling, but it was not anger, it was frustration of not knowing, and he just kept asking and asking and asking, and then he just, brought it out. Were you sexually abused?
Mm-hmm.
And when he said that, I just broke down. I just started crying. And I curled up in my regular ball, and so we didn't talk about it further after that. I think he just knew.
Okay.
By my reaction when he asked.
And so, what do you feel would be the first step into leading into talking to him? Like, what do you feel like needs to happen for you to be okay with talking?
I think what frustrates me so much is I don't understand what's happening to me. That was years ago, and I want to get past it so bad. I always have, and I can't. And I don't know why my body reacts the way it does in my outbursts, in my blackouts, in my daily anxiety. I hate feeling this anxiety all the time. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
And to go through it every day, it's exhausting. I'm exhausted.
Have you ever been on any type of like anti-anxiety medication to help you with the daily anxiety?
See, I just don't know much about it. So no, I haven't.
Okay, so I think that should definitely be something to look into. Medication, I'm a huge advocate for medication. Sometimes just a little, a lot of the times when you're feeling this anxiety, if you're feeling depression, things like that, sometimes there's a little bit of a chemical imbalance in your brain. And so the medication helps kind of even that out so that it masks the symptoms a little bit so that you're not feeling so anxious all the time. And so that may be something that we would like to look into. I think that would be a really good first step into starting to conquer this.
I would like to know all the side effects and kind of how it would react.
Yeah, I would definitely. So by next time what I can do is I can give you a list of some of the most common anti-anxiety medications and give you all the information that you would need as far as side effects. And if you wanted to, you and your husband could maybe even discuss what medication would be the best for you, or if you'd rather just discuss it with me, that's fine. But I can definitely give you that list so that you can start looking through those.
Okay.
And start figuring that out. I think that's something that would really, really help you just from the day-to-day actions. And then from there we can start working towards like some of the bigger things that trigger that a little bit more.
Okay.
And so does that sound like something that you'd like to do?
I'd like to learn about it, yes.
To look into it? Okay.
Because to calm that down, I think would be very helpful.
Is there, so in a given week, is there any days that you feel calm? Like how many of the days in a given week do you feel calm?
I love running, and so every morning I go for a morning jog, and I'm gone for a half an hour, and when I'm doing that, I feel normal, whatever that is. My anxiety's gone, my energy is up, and I feel like I'm in my perfect world again. And that's what got me through junior high, high school. I ran track, and in college, that's how I got out of the town I was in. And so it was always my escape, and it still is.
Okay, that sounds like something you should definitely keep doing then.
Yeah.
Something that you love, something that will
If I don't
you.
have it, my day's a mess. I'm a mess.
Well, that's great. That it really is so good that you found that coping strategy on your own. That you've been able to find that where you can just let go of the world for a little bit. That's really good. That's awesome. And then, so on a given day, so let's say just on a normal average day, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you feel normal, like the same that you do when you're running, so you feel normal. 5 being that you feel anxious but don't really act on it. You don't really physically show that you're anxious. Or 10 being a complete meltdown, like you explained, like crying in a ball. How would you rate your anxiety on a normal day?
I'd say about a 6, 7. I have lots of anxiety, and I try to mask it, but it's very common throughout a week that I'll have strangers come up to me and ask if I'm okay. But yeah. but I don't know. Yeah, I guess half the week I have more of that anxiety, and the rest I try to mask it, and I just keep going. If that answered your question.
Yeah, that definitely does. And so when you get into one of your full-blown like tantrums or episodes, like you called it, how long does that usually last?
Depending, sometimes it has lasted just a few minutes. Others it's lasted 20 minutes, about maybe. Around there, give or take.
Okay. And so with the information that you've given me, from what I understand, like we're definitely going to want to work on your anxiety, work on maybe looking into some medication to help you with that anxiety, and then also looking into talking with your husband, and ultimately maybe being a little bit more intimate that way. So what I want you to work on for this next week before we meet together, would you sit down and have a conversation with your husband for 5 minutes? It doesn't need to be about the sexual abuse. It doesn't need to be about any of that.
My anxiety was rising as you were asking that question.
Yeah, so it doesn't need to be about sexual abuse at all, but maybe about your childhood. Maybe tell him a story from your childhood about something that's not to do with the sexual abuse. So maybe if you went to like a fair one time with your mom and dad, or maybe you can tell him about like how you used to, you know, play with dolls with your sister or something like that that doesn't have anything to do with that. And maybe just open up a little bit about your childhood. Like maybe you can tell him like what your favorite color was, tell him about your elementary school that you went to. Would that be something that you think you can do?
I hope so.
Are you willing to give it a shot?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll try.
Okay, and it doesn't need to be necessarily an official sit-down conversation like that, but maybe if you're driving in a car together, or if he goes on a walk with you or something, you can just, you know, bring it up. Like just say, oh, well that basketball hoop reminds me of when I was a kid, I used to love playing basketball. Or just something like that, just to start off a little conversation.
Okay.
So that way it can kind of open the door a little bit to the childhood. So yeah, so go ahead and do that this week, try to do that, and then report to me on how it goes next time, and we can talk about it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, and I will get those list of medications for you as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, thank you for coming. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Jasmine.
This has been black the whole time, so I don't know how long.
I know. Oh.